So hello, bonjour, and welcome everybody. My name is Milena Audino. I am the Business Information Officer here at the World Trade Center, Winnipeg. I would like to begin today's webinar with our land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that we are gathered on the lands of Treaty 1 territory, and that Manitoba is located on the traditional and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabeg, Innu, Denessalian, and Dakota Oyates nations. We acknowledge that we are also on the homelands of the Red River Métis, and that northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are on the ancestral lands of the Inuit. The World Trade Center Winnipeg team respects the treaties that were made on these territories and acknowledges the harms and mistakes of the past and present throughout our nation. Thank you for joining our webinar, Understanding Third-Party Logistics and the Benefits over In-House Operations, which will be presented by Victor Letao and Tim Brewer, co-owners and co-founders of CentreCan Supply Chain Solutions, Inc. Before we begin, I just want to share a few housekeeping items. So number one, please send all of your webinar questions directly in the chat box at the top of your screen, and they will try to answer as many as they can during the session, as well as at the end, we'll have a Q&A period. Number two, for all logistical questions, please send them directly in the chat box, and I will try my best to answer your questions as soon as possible. And lastly, you will also receive a PDF copy and recording of this presentation within the next week. Now it's time to start our webinar. So I would like to introduce you to Victor Letao and Tim Brewer. So Victor is a seasoned supply chain professional with over 15 years of expertise in supply chain management and international trade, having held strategic positions throughout his career. His extensive experience spans global operations, delivering significant cost reductions, and operational enhancements. Victor holds two professional designations, SCMP, which stands for Supply Chain Management Professional, and the CITP, which is Certified International Trade Professional. And Tim is a highly experienced logistics and supply chain professional with over 2 decades of expertise in transportation, warehousing, and operations management. He specializes in optimizing supply chains, implementing industry-leading logistics strategies, and mentoring the next generation of supply chain leaders. And fun fact, in 2014, Tim was hired by the History Channel's Ice Road Truckers as a transportation consultant during the 8th season. So welcome, Victor and Tim. The floor is all yours.
Thanks, Melania. We really appreciate everybody being here today. Victor and I are very excited to review this or go through this webinar with everybody. So we'll get right to it. Again, today we're gonna it's understanding third-party logistics, which is 3PL, and the benefits over in-house operations. Now, quickly, a little bit about us. CentreCan Supply Chain Solutions is a Manitoba-based logistics and supply chain innovation firm dedicated to helping businesses optimize operations, improve efficiency, and drive growth. Founded in 2024, CentreCan is a customer-centric one-stop solution for supply chain services, offering expertise across multiple industries. So we have a 3-prong approach in our business. So we do 4PL, fourth party logistics supply chain management, which is end-to-end supply chain solutions tailored for businesses. So essentially we look at small to medium enterprises, in any different type of industry, whether it's manufacturing or any type of distribution industry, any of those similar industries or different industries. And what we actually do is when you start as a small to medium enterprise, supply chain isn't necessarily the greatest concern for you. There could be little cracks in your supply chain. Those cracks, as you scale and update and grow your business, those cracks become crevices, they become canyons, and then they became an issue. Supply chain is very complex and sometimes difficult to navigate, and it gets a little more complex the larger you go or the larger you get. So what we do is we provide optimization, educate, implement technology, and whatnot for the fourth party piece. And we can actually manage your fourth party logistics right from procurement to final mile delivery. So you can focus on your core business and reinvest your cost savings through efficiencies back into your business. The other piece is 3PL distribution and warehousing. So obviously we handle the storage, assembly, picking, packing, final mile delivery. So from raw materials to finished product, we can store that, and then we essentially use that as we distribute that to your customers, final mile delivery. We do cross-docking as well. We also are working on some new technologies with a software developer in Manitoba right now, Manitoba-based software developer. What we do, and it's a supply chain tool that you will be able to access. So the bonus with this is that you, as a manufacturer or as a small to medium enterprise, that reduces your footprint for a warehouse, racking, any kind of extra labor, forklifts, anything like that. So the optimization for that piece is there as well. We'll go through more of that as we go through the presentation. And then supply chain technology, like I talked about earlier, we provide state-of-the-art platforms for advanced data analytics and seamless system automation, optimizing efficiency and performance. Again, we're working with a business or a software developer out of Manitoba, and by the end of Q3, beginning of Q4, we should have something ready to present to the industry. And then we're always committed to delivering customized, scalable solutions that help clients achieve operational excellence, regulatory compliance, and sustainability goals. Again, our goal is to optimize your supply chain using either three approaches that we can offer to our clientele. Bottom line, we look to put money back into the pockets of our small to medium businesses so they can reinvest that back into their business and then grow, scale, and we will grow and scale with you as well. So quiz time, and we'll go through the chat feature. So the question right now is, what does 3PL stand for? Is it A, three-part logistics, B, three-point loading, C, third-party logistics, and D, three pizzas and lasagna? So we'll go ahead and you can answer in the chat what you believe that is. I'm a little disappointed that nobody picked D. Oh, Paul picked D. Right on. D sounds great because it's lunchtime. So the actual answer, you all guessed it, was C. It's third-party logistics. You will not be scored on this, and unfortunately, I do not have any pizza or lasagna to give everybody. I apologize for that. So third-party logistics, what is it? So it's actually unclear who actually coined the term third-party logistics. What is clear, however, that businesses started to outsource their inbound and outbound logistics to third parties back in the 70s. And with that introduction and subsequent growth of e-commerce in the 90s, the term 3PL became even more well-known. So it refers to the outsourcing of logistics and supply chain management activities to a provider. A 3PL manages various aspects of logistics, including warehousing, transportation, and order fulfillment, so businesses can focus on their core operations. They act as an extension of your business, and I think sometimes that's a misconception. They are another arm of your business. Again, when you're talking about logistics and supply chain, that's a piece that a lot of businesses think maybe sometimes, especially in the trucking industry, that they're brokers. That is a small piece of what a 3PL does. So have since expanded their services and become what we know now as 3PL providers. So packaging, warehousing, transportation, that's kind of the part or the piece where 3PL kind of slides in within your business. So they'll take care of all that piece from packaging, the warehousing, and transportation. So fact or fiction, another question. So manufacturing, is a 3PL a manufacturer? Yes or no? Or fact or fiction? You can answer in the chat. Lots of people typing. Fiction, fact, fact, fact. So people are saying that a 3PL does manufacturing. So the actual answer is fiction. It's not a manufacturer because it doesn't actually produce goods. So as a 3PL, its role starts after the manufacturing process, focusing instead on logistics and distribution. Next piece, retail. Is a 3PL a retail provider? Oh, here we go. You are all correct. It is fiction. So they are not a retailer. They do not sell products directly to consumers. Now, here's the one that's a misconception. Is a 3PL considered a carrier? We got some facts, we got some fictions. So the actual answer is a fiction. Believe it or not, they're not a carrier. 3PLs do not typically own transportation assets. Sometimes they do, but for the majority of 3PLs, they typically manage the transportation. So the delivery of products to customers by partnering up with carriers. Now, there are some carriers that become 3PLs, but 3PLs typically, if you were just a 3PL provider, a lot of times you do not have assets. And then one quick one fact, 3PLs focus specifically on end-to-end logistics operations. So from the beginning of the warehousing stage to final mile delivery, that's what a 3PL focuses on. So some responsibilities. So transportation, so they entail arranging shipping and delivery, coordinating with carriers and freight companies, and tracking shipments. This can also include brokerage as well. So a 3PL can take your loads and broker them out, but they also will have partner carriers, and they hold those carriers accountable, whether it's through KPIs such as on-time delivery and whatnot as well. They'll put out RFQs for carriers as well to quote on a rate per mile or what the overall load cost is, and then usually they'll present that to the customer and work with the customer to see what their best options are. Order fulfillment, picking and packing orders, processing returns and exchanges, and managing other accuracy and delivery times. This became massive, especially in the age of e-commerce like we are going now. Amazon's a good example of that. DHL supply chain is a very good example of that. Shopify. There are many other companies that do order for fulfillment. So they do lots of picking and packing orders. So that has become a major staple in the 3PL providers' resume. Inventory management. So they manage stock levels, handle stock audits, and reporting to customers. That, again, another bonus for utilizing a 3PL. You don't have to purchase, a $70,000 or $100,000 warehouse management system. The 3PL can provide that and usually provide a cloud-based option or present reporting to the customer that essentially will tell them what their stock levels are, how it's handled, what's your current inventory, risk of stock out, etc. And obviously customer service. The 3PL can manage customer service inquiries related to shipping and delivery and provide support for tracking and order issues. So it's like having a customer service department within your back pocket. And technology integration. A 3PL provider can implement and manage logistics software. It can also integrate with your e-commerce platform for seamless operations as well. So a 3PL provider, so a third-party logistics provider, manages transportation by acting as an outsourced logistics partner, handling the movement of goods efficiently through the supply chains. And their role includes carrier management and freight procurement, route logistics optimization, shipment, execution and coordination, cost management, and performance tracking. So now at this time, I'm going to pass things along to Victor Leitao, and he's going to carry on and get a little more in depth within the technology. So go ahead, Victor.
Hey. Okay, so thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate your presentation and all the information shared here. So let's continue on the transportation side. Just explaining here what a TMS is and who can use it. So TMS stands for transportation management system, right? And it can be used. It's not only used by carriers or truckers or bigger companies, but also used by shippers, customers, and so on, right? And 3PLs, they use a TMS, a transportation management system, to manage the loads for customers. You're able to do transportation planning, right? So you can plan the load, and optimize the best routes and deliveries for customers. It can also do selection of transportation providers. So there is an RFP RFQ process in the system in which streamlines a contract or lanes, which lanes will be allocated to specific carriers with the best rates. So it helps optimize the cost, and provides savings for the customers. Transportation expenses management. So that would also it renders some more data analytics for the organization. So order management, transportation optimization, as I mentioned there before, and so documentation management and analytics and reporting. So in which you're able to analyze all that data. So the historical data from all the shipments that have already been done in by your organization, by customers, or it could be by per customer or per carrier, and so on. So it just renders all as a series of information for the organization to better manage their shipments. Okay, can you move to the next page? Okay, so let's go to the next question here. So, which of the options below best fit under land transportation? Trucking, rail, pipeline, and one more option, all of the above. So please put your answers on the chat. Okay, a few answers here, a few more. Great. So I think most of you know. Can you? Yeah. There you go. So all of the above. So you guys are right. So land transportation encompasses not only trucks, right? Trucking, rail, but also pipeline. Pipeline is a mode of transportation as well. Okay, good. You guys are spot on. So on warehousing and distribution, so this is where all the services it's included in that, in supply chain, in a 3PL, right? Which would be order fulfillment, kitting services, palletization, cycle counts, inventory management, and all of that could be managed through a system called like a warehouse management system, right? So manage through that system to not only to collect data, to manage what the customer's inventory levels, when the customer wants to do pick and packing, and so the quantities you can establish, cycle times, cycle counts of the inventory as well. Okay, so move along. So here is just some examples of different warehousing operations. So you can see here the first one is the most common one, where it's allocated on the racking system by pallet, right? A standard pallet size, right? So it's easier, to control easy to control and to identify where the location is. On the one to the right side here, to the top right side is a cold storage. That's what it's called. If you go to the bottom left, that's where then you change in a little bit of the industry, going into metals, steel tubes or sheets, right? So I think we're just having an announcement on the steel and aluminum tariffs today. So that'll be a good way to see how that looks like, and to add to the discussion as well. And to the bottom right here is just if you don't have that organized and well managed, like through all those technologies and with processes, that's how that's how messy it can get, right? So by having all these pallets on the way or this equipment on the way, so that that takes only, that takes time from you, from picking from this location. It takes, so labor cost, it's cost efficiency, right? It might, so it's a risk for damages as well. So that's why it's always good to keep, the warehouse as organized as possible to, to make sure that you avoid those, those potential issues. Getting to data analytics. So talking about all these other services that like 3PLs provide, right, in warehousing, distribution, transportation. This is where, these services, they collect a lot of data, a lot of information that could be beneficial for customers, right? So through 3PLs that provide, a complete service of as a third-party logistics, they provide data analytics for their customers as well, right? So in which those systems are integrated into one platform, a portal, where what that information can be shared with customers, right? And that could be on inventory turnover, warehousing capability needs, load consolidation, and freight rate benchmark, right? So which would help not only the 3PL, to better manage their, their operations, but also the customer, so we can show, the benefits that a 3PL can provide to the customer. Some other best practices here would be with advanced system technologies. So as I mentioned there before, a warehouse management system and a transportation management system. So their capabilities are with integration with customers' operating systems, portal access by customers, as I mentioned that before, and automation of processes. So that helps with, so besides the analytics, right? So if we get the integration done with the customer system, right? So that would automate some processes, like for example, avoiding sending orders, through the platform. So if we get the systems integrated with the customer system, if the customer allows that, right? So as soon as the customer enters an order there and that's shared like from our warehousing location in their system, that could, that integration can be made like, with our system. That information can travel into our system and triggers, in order to be picked and packed or to be prepared, for example, right? Or it can trigger, a receiving an inbound shipment that is coming, at a specific date and time, right? So, so a lot of that information can be automated. And the portal access to customers, that's another way. If that integration doesn't happen, the information can be easily transferred to a 3PL provider through the portal, where the customer can go to the portal and manage their their inventory, right? So like through like shipments or receivings, or they can collect data or inventory information on on levels of inventory and value and so on. Okay. Another piece of information here, like from for 3PL providers, they'll be on customs clearance assistance, right? So they don't like 3PLs. They don't normally do customs clearance themselves, right? Because they're not like a customs broker, but they can. But the management of these international regulation and paperwork. So the paperwork for border crossing is that can be managed through a 3PL, right? So like for example, like BOLA, bill of lading, commercial invoice, airway bills, right? Normally like for air shipments, certificate of origin or certificate of analysis or specifications when it's needed for specific materials, right? So hazardous materials or dangerous goods. Yes, Incoterms. Also, all that information, the detailed information is needed for you to be able to go, across the border, especially here into the U.S. or from the U.S. into Canada, and that can be so 3PLs 3PL providers can assist their customers with that information. So you don't have any potential issues or delays when crossing that international border. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So which of the following functions are businesses typically outsourcing to third-party logistics organizations? Domestic transportation, warehousing, distribution, cross-docking, or all of the above? Good.
Gilbert was on top of it. First person to answer.
Yeah, I know. Good. Maybe next time we can provide the pizza and lasagna in person, right? So, all right, you can. I think we have enough answers here already. Okay, all the above. You guys are right. So all those are services that 3PL can provide. So that's good. You guys are again something from this. That's great. And then. So what is outsourced, right? So this is just on a study from 2020. So warehouse and distribution management is one of the most outsourced services, to 3PLs by shippers, right? So let's say, so domestic transportation, and a lot of times like international transportation as well. So warehousing, so international transportation here. So all of those here, there's like a more, the first two, like more than 73%. International transportation, 65%, customs and brokerage, 54%. And a lot of times, like these are not services that a shipper would provide themselves, right? Or they don't want to have to deal with that, themselves. That's when they use these intermediaries like a 3PL provider, or right, so to render those services for their organization, right? People with expertise. Okay, can you move to the next slide, please? So some of the benefits of 3PLs, right? So cost savings, right? So that's one. I myself, like I've always worked as as a shipper, right? And I worked very closely with 3PLs before. So cost savings were a big one, right? So especially in not only in warehousing, but how to manage your carrier, your shipments, right? So because the 3PL would provide the best rate possible, right? By sourcing that out to many different carriers. So it's not like you're using only one single carrier to do all of your shipments, but if you have the option to source that out, especially with the amount of options that are out there, so you can develop that, or you can develop like a bigger partnership with a carrier that would give you better rates as well in service. Okay, focus on core business activities. So instead of doing that service yourself as a shipper, so the 3PL will be doing that for you and taking care of that for you instead of and you focus on your core business when you're right. So scalability and flexibility, right? So a 3PL can grow with the organization, so it can so it can scale up the benefits of of warehousing services, for example, right? So normally warehousing is variable. So the customer would only pay or would only use what they can use. It like pay what they use, basically, right? So let's say like if they start up with only 1,000 square feet of space, and then later on, so the company is growing at 10-15%. So the 3PL can normally accommodate that and grow that to let's say to 5,000 square feet of the space, right? So and that can grow. So the 3PL grows as you or the shipper grows, or as the customer grows. So it's a win-win situation.
Just to chime in there, Victor, very quickly, Victor, a bonus with that as well with scalability and flexibility is a 3PL can go with your ebbs and flows of your business. So they can scale up or scale down depending, especially seasonal businesses as well.
Okay, good. And then just go back. So advanced technology, as I mentioned that before, with share information more with more technology involved and the connectivity with all these other different systems, it can give you more more detailed information on what you could get from your logistics, right? Instead of just because normally these companies, especially small to medium sized enterprises, they wouldn't have like a WMS, a TMS, or a doc management system, right? And analyzing all that data into one. So a 3PL will be able to provide that for you, and so you can help, so you can use that data to scale your business as well, make better decisions and better customer experience. So with those services enhanced by a 3PL, so your customer would have a better experience as well, like so faster delivery, right, on time, and inventory, and so on. Okay, so let's move on. So this is just a glimpse, okay, of what 4PL is, just an introduction. So 4PL, again, it's a little bit more than what 3PLs do, right? Because that would include, the service of, procurement management, right? So it's like, the organization, so a 4PL would help the organization to access certain products that what the company wouldn't do, right? Like either through like buying groups with other companies or better negotiations or better relationship with a supplier, right? Vendor and partner management. So those services would come, let's say, search and access to suppliers, assessments of suppliers. So just make sure you can, so you are reducing risks of from suppliers that you're buying from, right? So like, for example, like if you start looking at suppliers from China, you don't have the the capacity to access their production site, their production site in terms of capacity, financial situation, right, and quality, so documented systems and so on. So that's where a company like a 4PL provider would provide to those services, so the company have the peace of mind that they're buying from a good source. So technology implementation, the same as I mentioned before, that integration will help. Like that's more of a partner, like a broader partnership that would encompass all supply chain management for the organization. Risk management, so reducing risks for the customer in terms of of supply, accessibility, levels of inventory, because a 4PL will be able to manage that and have access to that information. Customs clearance and compliance, right? So in this case here, the company that would bring a customs broker or do the customs clearance themselves will be a 4PL, right? So there would be, they would take that responsibility for the shipper, for the customer. Data analytics and performance monitoring. So the same as a 3PL before, by including all those other services in terms of procurement management and customs clearance for the customer. Customer service would be enhanced as well, like with faster delivery, available of inventory, quality management, and so on. What else? And transportation management, which would be like the same level of transportation management that 3PL will provide, and focus on optimizing supply chain. So that's a big one where a company would, so 4PL provider, they would also work as a as a service provider, coming to the organization and mapping your supply chain, understand what supply chain is, and help you understand like what could we streamline and make your supply chain more efficient, more and then provide you with cost savings and operational optimization.
So Victor, before we move things over to questions, we have some more questions for the group as well. So we'll move on to the quizzes.
Exactly. So you guys have a quiz before the end of this webinar.
You'll be graded.
Yeah.
So what are the primary services offered by 3PL providers? Transportation, warehousing, and distribution. Warehousing, transportation, or warehousing, distribution, procurement, and manufacturing. People are on the ball. See lots of A's, see a couple of B's.
Yeah.
The correct answer is
answer.
actually eight. A, not eight. Transportation, warehousing, and distribution. Go ahead, Victor, with the next question.
And just to chime in on that one is like a 3PL doesn't, so it doesn't focus on specific services of that, provided by the organization, right? Let's say like only warehousing or transportation and distribution, right? So all of those three would be their primary service, right? So basically, so that's why it's called like third-party logistics, right? So in managing that services for for their customers.
So name 3 benefits of using a 3PL provider. We have A, increased marketing reach, better branding, and higher sales. B, cost savings, improved efficiency, and scalability. C, better product quality, faster production, lower taxes. Or D, enhanced customer service, more product variety, and higher prices. Oh, I think everybody got the gist of that one. Lots of B's.
Yeah.
And you guys would be correct. It's cost savings, improved efficiency, and scalability. And as we had talked throughout the webinar as well, with that 3PL, that's the main goal of a 3PL provider at the end of the day, especially for SMEs, is to provide those cost savings by reducing a footprint, warehouse footprint. You're racking any extra equipment like forklifts and staffing as well. Improved efficiency as they hold carriers and suppliers are there to task as well. And scalability, they can go with the ebbs and flows of a business, whether you're growing exponentially, or if you're a seasonal business and you scale up during, say, the summer months and you scale back a little bit on the winter months, a 3PL can assist you with that. Go ahead, Victor.
Oh, sure. What is the role of a 3PL in supply chain management?
Is it to manufacture products, to manage financial transactions, to handle logistics and distribution, or to design marketing strategies? Everybody is still awake. They're very quick on the trigger.
Exactly.
If you guess C, which it looks like the majority did, you are correct, to handle logistics and distribution. That is one of the main roles of a third party logistics provider, is to handle logistics and distribution for a business. Again, with cost effectiveness in mind. The goal for a 3PL again is to try to do one thing, and that is, the main goal is to bring that efficiency up for a business and put dollars back into their pockets.
Yeah. So how do 3PL providers use technology to improve their services? So by developing new products, by implementing software and automation with visibility for customers, by increasing advertising budgets, by hiring more employees. Okay, let me see here. Okay, a few more. I think I got it all right. So
I think so.
Yeah, we can go on. Let's see what the answer is. Exactly, by implementing software and automation with visibility for customers, right? That's exactly what it is. Like, it's and with that information is to help customers make the best decision they can make in terms of by using data, right? And we're on the information era, right? Age or information age, right? So companies or organizations that have the right information at the right time and are able to generate that information more accurately and rapidly. So they'll be like one step ahead that ahead of their competitors, right? So because they'll be able to make what the best decision or the right decision before what their competitors will be able to. So and 3PLs can help you can assist you with that with logistics information.
All right, we're going to put it to you to the group as well. Now that wraps up the webinar portion. We're going to open things up to questions now. If you have a question, by all means, put it in the chat, and we will try to answer your questions to the best of our ability. We've got some typing going on.
Can they open their mics as well, Milena?
Yeah, we could probably open up mics, I'm sure.
Absolutely. If people have questions and feel comfortable enough to open their mics, they could do so as well. I mean, I have kind of a general question. Maybe I could start this off. But my question was kind of at what stage do you think, like in your business growth, does outsourcing to a 3PL would make the most sense?
Well, I'll start and then Victor can chime in. I think it's very dependent. I mean, obviously, it's all pendant on what your business model looks like, right? If you're heavy into distribution and you're heavy into warehousing, it could be, within, obviously you want to be revenue generating. At that point, You're not going to outsource when you're not revenue generating. But at the point where it becomes, you're scaling your business up to a point where, now you're looking for carriers, now you're looking for a larger footprint, like a warehouse or a forklift or racking. When you start instituting that piece in your business, then it would be time to maybe start doing some investigations into 3PL. And if you're not 100% sure as well, I mean, that's something that we can provide. It's easy just to send us an email or to give us a call. We do consults. Our first consult is at no charge. So we go in, we have a conversation with SME, and then we can assist them on that piece as well. Like maybe you guys aren't quite there yet where you need the assistance of a 3PL, or maybe they are. So I mean, there's obviously different pieces that need to kind of fit into that puzzle to justify the cost, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And another thing, so depending on what stage they are, like if they're starting right now and they're rapidly growing and they need space, right? So and they need extra space, extra storage. So that's where 3PL comes into place, right? Or if they don't want to have 3 or 4 different employees just doing transportation and distribution, so that's another way where 3PLs can provide assistance on that as well, right? And accessibility to more carriers, right? And better rates, right? So that'll be a key function of 3PLs can help companies to scale their business.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have 2 questions there in the chat.
Yes.
Yep. One says, and Victor, since you are the international magician, if I have a supplier in China that does FOB, which is free on board, how can a 3PL company help me?
Yes, a 3PL would normally help you with warehousing, logistics, and distribution, right? So in your case, I'd be like a good fit would be what a 4PL provides, right? So so it can help you manage that international logistics and bring those loads to your inventory if that's the case, right? If you need, or if you need to maybe, so have somebody else to manage that supplier for you in terms of quality, right? So or inspections, or get the supplier is accountable for their load, right? So that's where like a 4PL will come into play. So 3PL will be more like into mostly like, so let's say warehouse and distribution, right? And the logistics, after the load is here. But it doesn't necessarily mean that a 3PL can partner up with a freight forwarder, right? So whoever you're using to bring that container or into Canada to and make that communication streamline, right? So so we would have to map it out and understand what your hurdles are to make the right approach, or to provide you with the best alternative.
So we have another question, and I knew that tariffs would slide in there somewhere. So are 3PLs affected in end-to-end costing to their clients and to end customers, i.e. tariff changes? So I would say to start this conversation, I feel that Victor and I have been talking about tariffs for about the last 4 weeks or so. So tariffs, obviously tariffs are going to affect everybody, whether you're a 3PL or the end user, or you're the person that's bringing the product in, you're the importer. So high our end-to-end costing to our clients and to end customers, the simple answer is yes, tariffs are going to affect them. Now, what a business such as ourselves would do, and it's kind of a 3PL and it's kind of a 4PL question if you really look into it, because that would be, you would go and maybe talk to a 4PL provider. Maybe there's some alternative options as well if you're exporting or importing in from the US, and be it a 3PL. They wouldn't necessarily do that outsourcing for you, right? If you needed assistance because tariffs, especially with aluminum and steel right now, we're hearing that they're going to be doubled. I think it's tomorrow. They're looking at 50% retaliatory tariffs on aluminum and steel. So what a 3PL wouldn't necessarily take care of that piece. It's going to affect everybody, but usually it's the importer, and which the importer eventually is going to tag that on to the end user. Now, with a 4PL, if you're looking at a 4PL can go in there and look for alternative sourcing in terms of procurement, and different opportunities they can provide or suggest to an SME or to a client to navigate through that world, because it's complex at times. Victor, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I'd like to just add into that answer there. So it depends on the situation as well, right? So in this case here, so let's suppose a 3PL is already working with a customer, and they right. So and the tariffs is going to affect the level of inventory that they keep with the 3PL, or here in Canada with the 3PL, right? So it could affect for more or for less, right? So maybe in the short term, that shipper, that customer might bring more material before the tariffs kicks in. So that would affect, the 3PL for good. So provide more businesses. On the other hand, maybe in the longer term, less, so they would, so reduce inventory. So they will not, so that would affect, the customer, the 3PL, on a negative way, right? By reducing inventory, so the amount of space that they need. So, but that being said, the customer, the shipper, they will be looking for alternatives, right? So, and that's, alternatives to scale their business, right? So if they have to pay those tariffs anyway, so how could a 3PL help them? To scale or be more efficient, right? And I would say there's more benefits than negative things for using a 3PL, because in this case, especially if you're insourcing or doing everything on your own, that's when you start looking internally. So mapping out your supply chain and say, okay, so what is our supply chain cost now? Okay, so how much inventory are we holding? What can we? Okay, so and comparing that cost by using a 3PL service provider, right? So maybe if you reduce your internal inventory, right, or and outsourcing that out to to a 3PL to manage that inventory for you, how would that what is the cost compared doing so internally or outsourcing that with 3PL, right? So that could be some opportunities there, right? Or as you escalate the business and start doing businesses with other countries, right? Or buying from from other more farther, locations like Asia, right? So the lead times are a bit longer, so you need more time or more lead time, to plan that inventory. That means you're gonna have, so even though like it might be like a lower cost, you might need to hold more inventory here and manage some pipeline inventory or in transit inventory, and that's where like 3PLs would be of a great benefit for organizations to help them organize that inventory management better.
Yeah, and to try just to cap that off, Victor, as well, and Gilbert. Yep, there is definitely assisting alternatives. We just remember what a 3PL does versus what a 4PL does. So a 4PL, when Victor was talking about supply chain mapping, things like that, if being a small to medium business, if you don't have a procurement department or someone that's experienced in supply chain, that's something that a business such as CenterCans can assist you with, right? So we can come in, we can help you map out your supply chain. Looking for alternative sourcing as well, and like Victor said, as you scale or as you shrink or you increase your inventory because of tariffs, and especially when everything right now is kind of up in the air with what's going on in the U.S. So one day we're good, one day we're bad. So like Victor said, a 3PL can assist with that and be flexible enough to go, okay, well, we're only holding this much inventory right now, or we're gonna increase our stock. So, but my suggestion, and it would be if you're looking to navigate through the tariff, what's going on right now with the trade war, you're looking for different alternatives or help with your supply chain mapping. That's something that CenterCan can definitely provide. So if there is anybody within the group right now, our contact information is up on the screen. Feel free to give us a shout, email us, and we can try to answer some of those questions and try to help you navigate that as well. Any other questions? All right. I think that's
it. Well, thank you so much to everybody who joined this webinar, and also thank you, Tim and Victor, for delivering this presentation. I've included some upcoming events just in the chat box, so you can make sure to check those out. But yes, thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we will see you online again soon.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.